Hey, what's up guys? Alex here with a new video, and today we're going to talk about an application called Rawsie. Rawsie is an application that compresses your raw photos up to 80%, and it promises no loss in quality. Now I'm going to start off by saying Rawsie did reach out to me and did provide a free license for this video, but they are not paying me and are not being able to control this video or my opinions. As a matter of fact, what's funny is when Rawsie reached out to me the first time, I told them, no, not interested. Why? So if you see my previous videos and you've seen my channel, I shoot with Canon's C-RAW. So Canon introduced their new compressed RAW file format with their mirrorless cameras a few years ago, and it compresses their RAW files 50%. And for me, that's enough, and getting the benefits of a smaller file in camera while shooting and expanding your storage is just a win-win. So when Rawsie reached out to me, I wasn't interested. I'm already shooting with Canon C-RAW. I let them know that, and we said our goodbyes. Except they followed up with, we support C-RAW. And that kind of blew my mind. Why would you want to compress a compressed file? Well, there's a reason why. Before that, let's go ahead and do a demo on how Rawsie works. Does it actually reduce your file sizes by up to 80%? Do you lose any quality? Let's go ahead and check it out. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a demo of Rawsie. So when you open it up, if you don't have Adobe's DNG converter installed, it will ask you to install the Adobe DNG converter. I'm assuming that Rawsie is using Adobe's DNG converter plus adding kind of their magic sauce to optimize these raw files, but without it, it doesn't work. So I already have it installed, and here's kind of the main screen. And what's really cool about this is you have two options, right? You have the option to go straight into Lightroom and go into a catalog so you can optimize specific folders, or you can optimize individual files. In this case, we're going to go ahead and do a Lightroom catalog. Okay, so I've opened up my catalog here, and you can see I have two folders. I have one folder with 17 files and one folder with 7 files. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do them separately so we can see the difference. So the one with 7 files is shot with Canon RAW, and the one with 17 files is shot with Canon C-RAW. And this is one of the coolest parts about Rawsie is it actually works with Canon's compressed RAW format, which is what I shoot with primarily. So that's what makes it pretty cool for me. Let's go ahead and select that. 17 files. I'm gonna go ahead and click import. Here I have a few options. You see the photos here. So you can see that I could relink these files to the Lightroom catalog, which we're going to do. You can save the compressed files, which is the new files, to the catalog. So that's what we're going to do here. And we're going to move the originals to an original subfolder. So what this does is it's going to create a folder within the catalog that has the original files. Now, you can delete these. You can move them to a different place. For the sake of this test, let's go ahead and just keep them in the original subfolder. And you can see here in these 17 files, we're going to save 260 megabytes, or that's kind of the estimate. And again, keep in mind, this is for already compressed raw files. So let's go ahead and click start, and it's gonna work its magic. So it takes a few seconds here. And you can see here, out of the 17 files, we saved 325 megabytes. So that definitely adds up over time. Pretty cool on already making a small file even smaller. Let's go ahead and do it again, except this time let's go ahead and go to a regular Canon RAW file. Okay, here we are. We're gonna go ahead and select the 7 pictures here. We're gonna go ahead and import again. Now, as you can see here with these 7 pictures, same settings, but now we're saving 271 megabytes. So again, we saved 320 something with the compressed files, around 17 photos. Here it's less photos, almost the same amount of savings because these files are significantly larger. So again, let's go ahead and click start. And just like that, the files are compressed. We saved 339 megabytes. Here's the cool part. When you go back to Lightroom, let's go ahead and open it up. Okay, so here we have Lightroom, and you can see that all the photos are back in the catalog, and they are the new DNG files. So for example, if I open up this picture here, we see that it is now a .dng and not a .cr3. Before we look at the file size, before we actually compare these photos, let's go ahead and re-import the original files, because the ones we're looking at now are the compressed files. So go ahead and re-import the original files so we can compare the size and also to see if we notice any quality difference. Okay, so here we are. We have the original files plus the new Rawsie DNGs, and here we can see if we click on this picture here, on the right hand side, it is a DNG file at 16.80 megabytes. And if we look on the left, it's the CR3 and the Canon CRAW file at 19.8 megabytes. So not that much of a difference, right? Looking at about 3 megabytes. When you add 3 megabytes over hundreds of photos, it adds up, but it's still impressive that Rawsie is able to compress a CRAW file. This is a Canon compressed file even further. But does it lose quality, right? Let's go ahead and take a look. The way I plan on using Rawsie in the future is more for archiving purposes, but let's still kind of experiment here and see if you're giving up anything. Okay, so here we have both files pulled up. I'm not sure why Lightroom is saying loading. It's been loading for a hot minute, but I can zoom in and we can compare. So on the left-hand side, we have Canon's compressed RAW format, the CR3. On the right-hand side, we have the Rawsie DNG. From this perspective here, they look absolutely identical. Now, keep in mind, they're both shot at obviously the same image, right? It's shot at ISO 100, so we're gonna have the cleanest image. So let's go ahead and take a look and zoom in. You can see the face, the detail, everything looks the same. And because we're comparing here a compressed file, let's go ahead and look at the background noise to see if we see a difference. Because when you start compressing, that's where you're going to start noticing some differences in the noise pattern and in those areas you don't really pay attention to. And just kind of looking at the fine noise and grain of this camera, they look completely identical. I'm trying to see if I can spot a difference in colors, and I think they look the same. If you can see a difference, it'll be even harder on YouTube. I'll probably actually include these files for you to play with. I'll export them into JPEGs to see if we see a difference here. But again, for me, I really can't tell a difference in this image. Let's go ahead and compare 2 other images to see if we can see something else. Okay, so here we have another set of images. On the right-hand side, we have the Rawsie DNG. On the left-hand side, we have the Canon CRAW file. And let's go ahead and zoom in. And again, detail is there. They look identical. If we start looking at some of the background noise, it looks the same to me. Even if you look at some of like the shadow recovery here in the hair, even in the darkest spot, I can see some detail here. Obviously on the CRAW file, I can see the same detail here on the DNG. And I mean, I'm trying to see if I can spot a difference, and I can't. Even, let's go ahead and look at this dark part in the grass, the color, everything looks the same. Again, you're compressing a compressed picture, which is wild. Let's go ahead and take a look at the opposite. What if you just compress a regular Canon picture? Okay, so here on the right-hand side, we have the Rawsie DNG. Here on the left-hand side, we have the original Canon RAW file. You can see that the original Canon RAW file is a 51 megabyte file, and the DNG is a 13 megabyte file. That's incredible. That's over half of this file size. And let's go ahead and zoom in to see if we see a difference. And again, you're not losing any resolution or quality. They both look completely the same. If you start looking here at this fine detail, again, it looks identical. I am trying to spot a difference. Even in the color here, it's looking the same. I mean, I might be nitpicking here, but you can see more noise on the Rawsie DNG here on the right-hand side, and you can't see that in the original RAW file. So this is the first time I spot a difference, and actually, once you see it, it's kind of noticeable. But that is the only area of the image where I'm seeing any difference in quality. And it was here in this kind of pattern on the left-hand side. You can see there's just a more You can see more noise here in the background. Let's go ahead and look at another image and just to kind of see if we can spot something else. Okay, so here on the left-hand side, we have the Canon RAW file at 47 megabytes. On the right, we have the Rawsie DNG at 13.3 megabytes. Let's go ahead and zoom in and let the preview load here on the CR3 file. Come on, there we go. Again, resolution and quality here in the middle is looking identical. Looking at the noise pattern, you can see that both images have some magenta noise here in the top. These were shot at ISO 800 and definitely push the shadows in post. And you can see the magenta noise here on both files. And I'm trying to see if it looks any different here on the Rawsie image. And it looks, I mean, I'm nitpicking here. You might see it a hair more on the Rawsie DNG. Even from, just regular 1:1 or regular just resolution here, they look the same. Let's look on the left-hand side. And yeah, I mean, you might be able, I'll include these files for you to check out. You might be able to spot it just a hair more on the Rawsie file. But it's kind of insignificant. Again, let's talk about how I plan on using Rawsie after going over this comparison and why I think it's a really, really cool tool. So let's go ahead and kind of put our thoughts together and finish out this video. Okay, so what did you guys think? That's pretty crazy, right? So how would you use this, or why would you want to use this? This is completely up to you, but let me tell you a little bit about my workflow. When I shoot a customer's wedding, engagement photos, maternity photos, I shoot thousands of photos. Now, I don't keep all those photos. So I go ahead and do my selects. I edit my selects, and then I deliver those photos. I keep the entire gallery of thousands of photos for 30 days. That's just in case if the customer comes back and says, hey, I didn't see a picture of this uncle or this person, and I maybe didn't include it or didn't think it was a good enough picture. So I keep those for 30 days just in case. After 30 days, I delete all my rejects, and I keep all my selects, and I keep all raw files I delivered. I never delete these, which means I have raw files dating back to 2015 for engagement sessions, weddings, maternity sessions, and I keep them because I never know when I might want to revisit these files. There are times where I want to update my site, might want to include an old photo, might want to include something that I shot a few years ago, and being able to re-edit that photo with my new color palette, new color correction, having that raw file is absolutely helpful. Now, it takes up a lot of storage when you're saving thousands of raw photos. Here's where Rawsie comes into play. I don't need to have 100% quality. As a matter of fact, I could technically have 50% quality because I don't really plan on using these photos for prints or anything like that, just maybe the website, Instagram, nothing crazy. But if I could retain the quality that I saw with Rawsie, which is almost 100%, we're talking about the most extreme background details with noise patterns, and reduce my file sizes, it's gonna free up a lot more storage. Last year, I started converting everything to SSD so I can get rid of these old big hard drives, and now I have 5 Samsung 2 terabyte SSD drives for all my raw photos. So this is how I'm going to use Rawsie. I'm going to go ahead and run it through all my previous galleries and just reduce them in size and free up more storage. There's different ways of using this. If you want to speed up your workflow in Lightroom and you don't want to have heavy files, you can absolutely use Rawsie. Or if you're working on personal images that you don't ever want to blow up and you don't want them necessarily consuming the huge file space, but you still want a raw file, Rawsie is a great application. Now I have to say, for now, it's a Mac-only application. It will come to Windows soon, but overall, I was super impressed, and I love the fact that I completely dismissed it at first, and then it caught my attention when I realized I could use it with Canon's C-RAW. But what are your thoughts? I'm going to go ahead and provide a link to Rawsie. I'm going to provide a link to the images below so you can check them out. I'm also going to provide a link to a discount code if you do want to pick up Rawsie yourself and use it on your galleries. Again, I'm going to use it for archiving purposes, and I'm pretty excited to see how much storage I'm going to free up on my SSD drives. But guys, that's the video for today. What are your thoughts? Please let me know down below. And as always, I'll see you on the next one. Have a good one, guys. Peace.